Welcome back, class, to Hospitality 2108 Hotel Management. Today we're going to be talking about being a hotel general manager. Now, the hotel general manager is the leader of the hotel. The individual responsible for the final decision making regarding property specific operating policies and procedures. Now, a GM may wear many hats in the fulfillment of their duties. What do we mean by that? Right? Some of the hats that they're going to have to wear are going to be things such as dealing with investor relations. Right? They're going to be held accountable to this. The executive committee facilitation, property management, standards modeling, brand affiliation management, and community relations. And we're going to go further into each of these as we go along. So first, let's talk about the investor relations. GMs must have the ability to communicate to investors and owners about current performance and future needs of the hotel. In order to manage the investor relations successfully, the GM must have a financial analysis ability, proficiency in written communication, and they must be effective in public speaking and their presentation skills. In other words, if you don't understand the numbers and you can't write it down in a clear way or present it in a way that it's easy to understand and convincing, you're not going to really be that successful at that. Now, the executive committee facilitation, those are the members of the hotel management team. So think about it this way. It's generally the department heads, right? They're going to be responsible for departmental leadership, and overall property administration. If you take a look in your book, figure 3.1 displays a typical mid-size full-service hotel's property management team members that would be supervised by the GM and their key areas of responsibility. Some of those are going to be things such as the AGM. The AGM, or the Assistant General Manager, deals with tasks assigned by the General Manager. Your controller deals with the accounting for the hotel's assets and liabilities. HR, hotel staffing needs. Your Director of Sales and Marketing, or as it's shortened to DOSM, is your revenue production and hotel promotions. You have your front office manager, who will deal with the guest services and the sales of things. Your revenue manager deals with your rooms pricing and rooms inventory allotment. Your executive housekeeper deals with the property cleanliness, not just the rooms, but the general areas as well. And your chief engineer, one of the people I consider to be most crucial, to be honest, deals with the upkeep of the hotel's physical facility. They're responsible for maintaining a schedule of maintenance, and we're going to go over this further in later chapters, but that keep the hotel running and in great shape. You also have your food and beverage directors, your director of security, and the most successful managers can point to one or more individuals in their lives who took the time to show them the ropes. So it's important for you to have these great leaders of your different departments to help kind of cultivate your employees to become even better leaders themselves, and take the time to really invest in them and show them, as we talked about here, show them the ropes. To manage the executive committee stuff, the GM needs to be able to listen. Now, listening is not just sitting there waiting to reply, but really, you listen. And to really listen, you need to kind of watch the person too who's talking or sharing with you, right? The nonverbal cues can be just as important as a verbal. They need an ability to evaluate and implement managerial training and development programs. Just because you become a manager doesn't mean that your learning stops. In fact, it's more crucial that you need to stay up on your education and your training so that you can be the better example to your subordinates and keep on the front line of what is current and fresh. A good GM needs to be able to provide assistance in professional improvement and growth of the EOC team as well. So, with the property management, the GM should be able to direct overall management of the property. That includes the process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, evaluating human, financial, and physical resources, all for the purpose of achieving the organizational goals. All this stuff is crucial for them to be able to understand and do. So planning, establishing goals and objectives. Right there, right? You want your goals, you want your objectives. So then you're going to organize. Now, when you're organizing, you're trying to maximize your deployment of resources. So you need to sit there and know your resources that you have and what is best going to fit the goals and objectives, completing them that you can. Staffing and directing, you need to be able to provide leadership. Just telling somebody to just do it and just figure it out, it sometimes works, but a lot of times it creates more frustration and more confusion. You need to be able to evaluate and control, so to measure and evaluate the results. What are the results that you were looking for, right? Does it really line up with what you were hoping for? So just to reiterate, right? The planning process, it's the process of creating goals. So we start off with planning, right? We're creating our goals, objectives, then designing action plans, strategies, tactics, all to achieve those goals. Next, it's going to go into organizing, where you're arranging, right? And deploying in the resources in a manner that most effectively helps achieve an organization's goals. If a decision is made to implement a goal, all the hotel's resources must be organized and deployed to best achieve that goal. Not doing that is just kind of setting yourself up to failure. Just like with planning, the GMs need to engage in the planning function when they establish the philosophical and operational direction of the hotel, right? So when you're doing all your planning of your goals and objectives, you need to have a clear establishment of your philosophy, okay? With your staffing and directing. So this concept relates to a GM's recruiting, motivational, and leadership characteristics, right? Some common terms used in place of directing are coach or leader, right? The GM should demonstrate real leadership, right? I'm sure if we were talking in person right now, you could give me a million examples of bad leadership, right? And good leadership, right? What makes a leader and what makes a boss, right? You need to be able to motivate a hotel staff to achieve tasks that were never before considered possible, right? That's all part of staffing and directing. Now, controlling and evaluating seems a little straightforward, right? Well, it is and it isn't, because it relates to measuring and assessing the results that you have gotten, but the GM needs to assess the effectiveness of their own actions as well as that of their management team, right? It's not just about the results, but did you do it in the best way that you could, right? How effective were you? How effective was your management team that you put in place? What mistakes were made? What good things, what happy accidents happened, right? Not everything that goes wrong is a bad thing. It's a learning moment. You know, take it, use it, move forward, do better next time. Let's see here, property management, right? This is where the hotel's ADR, what's the ADR? Average daily rate, right? Is achieved. Was it achieved? So you're going to take your total number of rooms, you're going to divide it by the total number of rooms sold. The total room revenue divided by total rooms sold. So, right, pretty straightforward. You make X amount of dollars, you have X amount of rooms available, you can figure out your ADR. Now, was the RevPAR achieved? Now, RevPAR is the revenue per available room, right? So the room revenue, same as the one from the first example with the ADR, the same number, but this time you're going to take it and divide it by the total number of rooms available for sale. All right? So if you, just because you have 100 rooms on property doesn't mean that every single time that you calculate RevPAR, it's going to be divided by 100. Why? Maybe there's a room that's out of order, right? If it's out of order, it's not available for sale. So that's one way of looking at the RevPAR. The RevPAR is just the average amount of revenue generated by each of a hotel's available hotel rooms, right? It's very straightforward, but it's important for you to be able to understand this. GM, again, right? They're gonna have to have some talents. Here's 4 of them here. Organization, coaching, right? Leadership skills, analytical, financial analysis skills. You need to know what your numbers mean. I really can't stress this enough, but in any business, you need to be able to look at all your financial data and know where you are and if you're on track and if things are going good or if they're not going so great and how you can turn it around. They need to have a competitive spirit, right? And high attention to detail. Attention to detail, if you're one of those people that just knows that something's supposed to be a certain way, right? And you can spot it. Just walking in the room, you can spot 6 things wrong, right? Outstanding, you know? Man, you're my favorite type of people right there. Because you're going to see things that others are going to miss, right? You might even have the ability to anticipate guest needs, you know? That's something that you should have as a GM. And really, you're going to need to have a physical stamina to really just keep going and keep that energy going, because nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody, right? The guest doesn't care that you've had a really long shift and it's been a day, right? When you come out and you're dealing with them, you need to look kind of fresh, right? You need to be able to deal with it and not really um, seem like it's a burden, if that makes sense. So here's the thing. The best GMs ensure their own actions and attitudes are consistently in line with the actions and attitudes they seek from their hotel staff, right? Hotel staff, any staff, right? Any GM, their attitudes and actions reflect the standards, right? You need to have those high standards of ethical behavior, right? So whatever standards, your behavior reflects the standards that you hold for yourself and for the property, right? So you need to have that ethical behavior. You need to have an even temperament, right? Remember last chapter when I was talking about if a guest is upset, and not to take things really personally, to just be the dude, right? Just let things kind of roll off, but take it seriously. Just don't take it personally. You never know what somebody's going through. You need to have a real commitment to guest services, right? The guest is the reason why we're there. We're a service industry. We take care of our guests. If we don't, somebody else will, and they won't come back. So, brand affiliation management is a little different. So, property level brand management includes the continually monitoring operational standards. It also includes you communicating with franchise about marketing and sales programs, and how to improve profitability by using services and programs that are offered by the brand, right? And some of that's going to come with like the quality assurance things, right? You're going to get inspected. And those scores, or the QA scores, are the result of annual or more frequent inspections conducted by a franchise company that ensure that their brand standards are met by the franchisee. They are used in property ratings, marketing efforts, and even by owners to partially determine GMs and other hotel managers' compensation and bonuses, right? It's really important that if you are a franchisee, that you at the very least maintain, but really, if you're not shooting for going above and beyond, you really need to have that drive just to go above and beyond in everything you do. Again, your talents of interpersonal skills will come into play here. Being persuasive, right? Listening and writing. I cannot stress enough how important it is to be an effective writer. It kind of gets lost in the fray sometimes when we're all in a text-based society of texting and shorthand, right? But being able to effectively write what you want and what you need is really important. Community relations. I mean, the GM has to deal with the community. It's You need to look at it as opportunities to assist the local community, right? For you to attract new businesses. Hopefully, for you to expand your tourism opportunities. You also will be given the opportunity to provide input regarding local business community needs, And a lot of times you're going to be helping to hold charity events and fundraisers, possibly at your hotel or sponsoring them elsewhere. Uh, so, for all this, again, an outgoing personality really helps. Well developed social skills. We've all met those people that are just charismatic as all heck, right? And it's intriguing. They have people in the palm of their hands, and it's amazing to see. To be an effective public speaker and to have those presentation skills really comes into play when it comes into community relations. And a lot of that you're going to have the opportunity to really work on your public speaking, your outgoing personality, right? I implore you to take up a leadership role while you're in college. Join a club, be a leader. Um, if there's a public speaking contest, just sign up for it. It's scary, but it's really going to help you out. And don't be afraid to socialize in professional manners, right? In your junior or senior year, you're going to end up taking event management. And in that class, I am going to personally expect you to demonstrate some of those social skills that you need when it comes to like networking and stuff like that. Okay? So, the GM's formal education, regardless of degree, will not make a person a qualified hotel general manager. It helps, but it will not make it all the way, right? There's still more. Formal education can provide the tools with which to perform the job after a person attains this position. So pay attention in your cost control class or your finance class and your marketing and all these classes that sometimes feel like a little bit of a drag, right? But try to see where this can help you out in the future. So, uh, hospitality education, it's this the titles are not all standard, right? So we're hospitality and tourism management, right? But there's hotel administration, hospitality business, HRM, right? RHI, that was I've gone and taught at a few of these different titles, right? And it all leads down to the same thing, except for culinary arts, which is a lot more specialized. But it's all about service and uh, training people, right? Um, Obviously, you're here in a 4-year degree. You wish to complete a more advanced study, right? You want to learn from a larger number of quality faculty, a more advanced degree than a 2-year degree, right? Um, Here, you have Dr. Robertson, who is this amazing chef with this fantastic wine knowledge and marketing skills. And you have Dr. Warner with her legal expertise in crisis management, who has had her phone ringing off the hook during this current pandemic, right? And you got me, who loves event management and music festivals and has an extensive background in hotels and restaurants, right? We all come from different backgrounds. We all have something different to offer, just like you do, right? Um, and Coastal Georgia offers an excellent learning environment, smaller class sizes, right? Um, More attention one to one if you want it. And I really implore you to get to know all your faculty. Earlier, the better, because it really impacts and makes your 4-year trip that much more successful and interesting. Get an advanced degree. So you got a bachelor's. Outstanding, right? What do you do now? Well, you can go work in the industry, or you can do what the three of us have done. And we went on and we all got masters. Dr. Warner has a Juris Doctorate, it means she's a legal doctor, right? She also has her PhD. Dr. Robertson and I both went to Purdue and got ours, but they're all in different areas of specialization. So my master's was hotel-based HR learning and different ways of doing it. Where my PhD, I went with the event management aspect of things and how you look at people's experiences and things of that nature, right? And we've all become the master of our subject matter, right? And that's what you do in an advanced degree. It also helps you out with your ability to communicate effectively, right? I can talk to you one-on-one in person about my research interests for way too long, and you don't want me to, but it's okay, right? What do you need? You need an undergraduate degree, and you need some excellent grades. Now, not everybody nails it in their undergrad. It's a true story, and that's okay. Because sometimes after a little bit of time you take away from your undergrad, you go out and you work, and people understand that in undergrad sometimes people are not done maturing quite yet, if that's the right way of putting it. And you will end up taking a test such as the GRE or the GMAT, depending on what type of master's program you're going for. And that will have a big influence, especially if it's been a few years since you got your bachelor's, than your undergrad grades. If you want to go on for an advanced degree, just stop by and talk to any one of us, and we are more than happy to talk to you about that. Anyways, I could go on forever. Some more training. So, on the job training, OJT, it's huge. I mean, you can talk and you can learn about a lot of things, but until you get out there and put it all into practice, sometimes it doesn't come together right away, but the pieces will start to fall into place as you're doing your on-the-job training, right? You're going to have learning activities that are designed to enhance the skills of your current employees. Typically, OJT is offered by management to improve guest service and employee performance at no charge to the employee. For hotel GMs, OJT is an essential part due to the impact of advancing technology, right? And the changing guest expectations. I told you earlier that life keeps changing and moving forward, and it does, right? Technology now versus 20 years ago. We didn't have an iPhone 20 years ago, right? In fact, I don't remember surfing the internet on my phone until I got my first iPhone. So, a lot of my life had gone on without that distraction being on me. But how do we use that distraction and turn it into an asset, right? That's going to be something for you to find out. Your business associations. So there's a ton of them, right? What do you belong to? What helps you out? Is there anything out there that is going to help you and your business and your future, right? Some of them offer free training because you already paid to be in the membership, or paid training. And, trade associations like the National Restaurant Association is huge. They have a great convention every summer in Chicago. I highly recommend you check it out at least once. The Hotel and Lodging Association has a great trade show up in New York City each fall. Again, great. It gives you a chance, though, when you go to these type of things and you belong to these things, to network. Knowing people is going to help you out so much, okay? These associations are also going to produce probably publications and offer seminars, local economic data sometimes, as well as like best managerial practices. It's nice to be able to read about other people's experiences and learn about how to handle things in the future yourself. It gives you the chance to lobby for your business interest and facilitate a public-private employment initiatives. It also lets you update recent business concepts and methods, right? Keep up to date. You have to constantly keep yourself up to date. With your trade associations, some of them serve as certification, educational, social, and legislative needs of the member. ServSafe came about because the National Restaurant Association wanted to set a standard for restaurants that would keep additional legislation happening from outside people who weren't necessarily professionals in the restaurant business. Some associations hold monthly or annual gatherings. They offer educational seminars, workshops, the trade shows that I talked about, the publications. There can be a focus on industry-related news, trends, and practices. Help the readers stay up to date on current information is another great benefit of a lot of this, right? With publications, there's a lot of them out there. Take the time, read through a few, see what really resonates with you, and go for it. As I talked about before, the NRA, the National Restaurant Association, American Hotel and Lodging Association, there's Asian American Hotel Owners Association, International Hotel and Restaurant Association. There's ones that are more marketing based, culinary based, convention based, financial based, technology based. You can find almost anything that fits what you are looking for. So you're trying to decide on a path here, right? And there's many paths that you can take to get to wherever you're going. Being creative with that and having the foresight and the long-term vision will serve you well. So for a GM at a select service hotel, right, they're going to be dealing with the responsibility for generating profit to meet or exceed budget expectations while maintaining operational and guest service standards, right? That's just a summary of their position right there. They're going to have specific duties such as development, administer, and control the hotel revenue and expense budgets. They need to be able to analyze the balance sheets, the statement of cash flows, and income statements. So some of the qualifications for a select service hotel GM, typically they must have at least 3 years of experience as a GM of a select service hotel with a minimum of 75 rooms, right? you're going to be working your way up probably to like assistant GM or assistant manager, right? And get yourself as much of the learning about profit and loss and budgeting and forecasting. If you want to be the GM of a select service hotel, it's kind of a jack of all trades, right? You really need to be on your game. You're going to deal with investor relations, right? Like I said, the profit and loss statement, generate maximum financial and operational performance within the framework of the corporation's guidelines, right? You need to have an emphasis on managing the property per the instruction of the ownership. You're going to have to deal with the executive committee. You're going to hire, train, counsel, motivate your management team members, right? Your management team members are crucial to get right. And it's hard sometimes to evaluate them if because you might see them at the same level as you are and become more friendly than just being able to evaluate them honestly and fairly sometimes. I rarely suggest hiring friends or family because the relationship that you create there is messy to deal with, right? You're going to develop and nurture a team of management and line staff members that are directed toward the achievement of the goals. Great. Right? Your property management, right? You're going to ensure effective guest and property safety security programs are in place and documented, as we mentioned in chapter 1, right? Safety and security are huge. You're going to lead the revenue effort of the entire property, right? With an emphasis on increasing market share and optimizing your revenues. You're going to manage quality sales and service efforts, again, to design to optimize the revenue. You're going to have to deal with the brand affiliation management, inspect the rooms according to their quality standards for cleanliness and proper preventative maintenance. General manager for 2 or more years at a like-sized hotel usually is when you're moving around. Operate in a manner consistent with franchise brand standards. The 2 or more years, it's something that really has kind of slipped away with some generations. But it used to be that people would look to see on your resume how stable you were in one spot. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Again, your community relations, maintain an active and visible position in the local community and industry. You are the representative of the hotel in the local and professional communities. You go out, and especially in a smaller community, people will know who you are. So it's important that you represent your hotel at all times. Represent the property to external communities. All right. Didn't really talk about the full service manager job description, but in your book on 3.3, you will see a complete description of what a full service manager also has to go through. Right now, feel free to pause this, read about the Real World Hotel Challenge 3.2, and proceed on to the next slide, and we will discuss those answers. All right. So you are a soon-to-be graduate, right? and you're considering two different options and two different career paths. Now, just because you make one selection now doesn't mean that's the way you're going to go the whole time. Okay? I don't know about you, but at your age, I didn't know what I wanted to do. In fact, I hadn't even gone to college yet, from probably most of you, right, at your age. But you're going to have a couple paths, and it's important to kind of to look at and understand what those paths could lead to, or typically lead to. It doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to go. And it doesn't mean that you can't switch and go to the other side or anything else. And I implore you to, try new things and see what you like, right? Early and often. So the first question, which professional skills would likely be most important if Shanna chose to accept the select service job? So managers of select service hotels often deal directly with the guests, right? A lot more than full service hotels, that's for sure. And certainly must develop close relationships with other property managers. You're gonna need to have those professional relationships wherever you're at. In part, if you oversell, you want to have that professional relationship with somebody where you know that their hotel is up to your standards and that you can send your guests there, right, if you need to walk them and whatnot. Professional skills that would be important in the select service hotel job include verbal skills, training skills, right, and coaching skills. Verbal, training, and coaching. Training is unique. You need to be able to understand that not everybody's going to learn the same way, okay? Same thing with coaching. Leading some people, you have to do different methods for different people sometimes. For the full service hotel job, what skills are most importantly? So those professionals holding positions in a large full service or convention hotels most often find that excellent planning and organizing skills are very important. Planning and organizing. GMs of very large hotels have less direct guest contact, and in most cases spend greater amounts of their time helping to develop the skills of the members of their executive operating committees, right? That's your leadership team. And next one. What personal and lifestyle related issues would you advise Shanna to consider? She evaluates the two job options. In many, but not all cases, select service hotels are not located in the downtown areas of large metropolitan communities. And this is especially true when compared to convention hotels, which are often located in downtown areas. As a result of this, consideration of personal lifestyle related issues may involve addressing cost of living issues. You live in a big city, it's going to cost you more typically. Issues related to the commuting to and from work. Trying to go downtown, you're probably living in the suburbs because it's cheaper, right? You got to add in all that time. I had a friend who would take the train in Chicago like an hour to work and back each day. My friends in New York City, their commute times are amazing, but they love it, so it's for them. As a result of this, the cost of living, issues related to community, even your housing situation. So if you want to move to a big city, I really hope that you're okay being a minimalist for a while. And what do I mean by minimalist? What you can afford in a smaller town, right, versus in a big city is vastly different. I wouldn't be able to buy a house in New York City right now. I would probably be living in like a one-bedroom apartment, right? Or even an efficiency. which isn't bad. I've lived in efficiencies before, but if you really value having a yard and all this other stuff, right, you're going to have to consider, well, you might have to live farther away and your commute time's going to be a bit more, right? Which means that planning is going to be more important. You're not going to be able to wake up 5 minutes before you're due to be at work. You're going to have to wake up a long time before and get on your way. Anyways, that has been Chapter 3. I have been Dr. Mosley, and you have been awesome. Till next time, take care.